Yes, with the World Cup starting very, very soon, I took a look at five players who I think are going to have a very, very good tournament and are going to have some good performances for their country. Now, when we're looking at this kind of FIFA 2026 tournament, for me personally, I think this is going to be more of a tournament for players under the age of 23. I think we're going to see some better performances from those players as opposed to the elder players. I don't want to say old players, but the elder players. So players in the kind of Kylian Mbappe, the ones that we already kind of know, the Harry Kanes and people of that ilk, Haalands, for example. I think they are good players, whether they have good tournaments. Listen, I don't think any of us would be surprised if all of those kind of players have good tournaments, but there are going to be a few players who are, again, in my opinion, under the age of 23, who I just think are going to have a very, very good tournament. And I feel like this tournament is more geared towards them as it is to the elder players, who are going to be participating in this tournament. Now, as I mentioned, there are players that, of course, some of you might know already. There are some players who we've seen play. There are some players who are on some people's transfer wish list, for the summer. So I wanted to just take a look just at a few of them, five in particular, who I think have a look at these players throughout the tournament. I feel like these are going to be the ones to watch for one reason or another. So let's get straight into it. So first up, we have got Ayyoub Bouaddi, the Lille midfielder, 18 years of age. I think he's played over about 100 games for Lille. He's played in European competition as well, so very experienced at such a young age. Decided to choose Morocco instead of playing for France. Listen, probably better for his international, career. Wanted to play for his home country. Listen, no problems with that whatsoever. Central midfielder, quite elegant, press resistant as well. He's got a very, very good defensive IQ, if I'm being totally honest with you. He's someone who seems to be quite a hybrid in the middle of the park. He can play the 6, he can play the number 8, can drive forward with the ball. He's got that tactical intelligence. He's got that physical kind of attributes and ability, when he is running with the ball. Very difficult, it seems, to be able to, knock off the ball. Very good in these tackles and the duels as well. And I think he's going to be a very good player. Whether he plays that much, I would say for Morocco, I don't know. But if he does, I think he's going to be someone that might be quite underrated, in this tournament, because there's going to be so many stars at this tournament, so many players that, especially when they play in the midfield areas. You've got the likes of Pedri, Fabian Ruiz, you've got the French players as well, and you've got various other Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, and etc. You've got so many midfielders who we all want to see, and we want to see, are they really that good? He might even just go a little bit under the radar, but if Morocco showed us anything in the previous tournament, listen, they're not going to be a team that's going to be easy to defeat. So I'm definitely going to be looking at him, and I think quite a few players or quite a few teams are going to be looking, at him to just kind of decide on whether or not he is kind of ready for that next level up, or whether he just needs, potentially another season, in League. But definitely a player I think is going to be sought after by the end of this tournament, and he is a very, very good player. Next up, Endrick is a player who, I wouldn't even say divides opinion, because I don't think he divides opinion. I think most people agree that he is a very talented individual ever since, joining Real Madrid. But even prior to that, playing in Brazil, I think he showed his ability. And I think going on loan to Lyon, I think that really, really helped him, because he wasn't playing at Real Madrid. You're just going to be sitting on the bench. I've always maintained that young players do need to play. Otherwise, they're just wasting their kind of time, just sitting on benches, no matter the team that you are, whether it's Real Madrid or Wrexham. If you're sitting on the bench, you're not really developing, you're not getting that, game time that you really need. Someone who can play on that right-hand side, he can play through the middle, can play behind the striker as well. He's got a wand of a left foot. Brilliant dribbling ability, absolutely blistering pace, and he's actually really, really strong. That's something that maybe if you watch him enough, you'll know. But I feel like it goes over people's head that's not something that I hear spoken about enough. I feel like he is very, very strong for someone who is quite short in stature, but also quite young as well. He seems to be able to hold off players with serious ease, and I feel like he can play as a number 9. But again, it kind of just does depend, because I do think he's also a player who does need a little bit of freedom. He needs to be able to drop deep to pick up the ball, to then go on those mazy runs. He needs to be able to also pull out wide when he kind of wants to. Whether he's going to be allowed to do that in his Brazil team under Ancelotti, I don't really know. But for me, I'm just looking at him and thinking, if you think of, would I say, Ousmane Dembele at PSG, someone who can almost just operate in the attacking part of the pitch, but anywhere, can pop up on the left, right, middle, attacking midfield, it doesn't really matter. I feel like you can give that kind of role to someone like an Endrick, and I feel like he will do really, really well. He can go beyond the striker if you need him to as well. So definitely a player, I think, with the goal scoring instincts that he does have as well, I think, this is going to be, definitely one to watch. Next up, let's take a look at Nico Paz, Argentinian attacking midfielder. Brilliant for Como. Helped them, of course, get into the Champions League. So he's had a really, really good season. Obviously back at Real Madrid. I don't know what's going to happen with him next season. For me personally, I would hope he would stay at Como for another season, play in European competitions. Let's see how you do in those kind of competitions there. Can you really mix it with the big boys in there? I feel like he can. He's got great close ball control. He's got brilliant vision, and he's got excellent playmaking ability, and someone who can obviously, of course, shoot from distance. He operates mainly in that kind of attacking midfield position, but again, a bit like Endrick, someone who does like to float in and around the attacking third, of the pitch. And I think if you can get him into the right spaces, now listen, Argentina got a very decent team, so whether he's going to be able to start games as much as he would probably like, I don't really know, but I feel that he is a weapon to be able to use within this kind of tournament. I definitely would be looking at starting all of these players from the first game. Listen, I know you've only got 3 games, and it is vital that you get a victory in your first game just to give you some kind of breathing room and at least a 3-point gap on one of the teams, straight from the jump, considering you only have those 3 games. But I feel that he's not going to let you down. I don't feel like he's a player who's going to let you down with his performances and, his actual ability. Yes, I know he's playing with some really, really top players. He's playing with the world champions, so ultimately he's got a lot to prove himself. But I feel like he can do it. I feel like he's ready, and I feel like he's at that stage now where let's go. Can this be almost the breakout, for his career, almost in terms of propelling him to that next level, of kind of stardom. But let's wait and see. But he's definitely a player that I look at and I think to myself, yeah, he could be the next one, the next one up. Now, Gilberto Mora, youngest player, the youngest player at the World Cup, attacking midfielder, plays for Tijuana. He is a interesting one. Obviously playing for the home nation in Mexico. And I think with a player so young, and not necessarily playing for one of the top teams or top international teams out there. Like, this isn't a Lamine Yamal Spain situation whereby, in terms of the eyes being on you. I almost feel that he's not here, first and foremost, just from the reports I'm looking at anyway. He's not just here to just make up the numbers. He's not just here for let's just bring him along just to kind of experience. No, it seems like he's going to be, in my opinion, if Mexico want to go far in this tournament, he's going to be a very pivotal part, of that. He is an absolutely brilliant young player. He's got high football IQ. He is someone who has got I don't want to say elite, but he's got very good ball retention, dribbling ability, close ball ability as well. Someone who can, again, mainly operate, I want to say left wing, but I almost don't want to call it that. Looking at his heat map and looking at the way he's kind of played in the compilations, it's almost that kind of left attacking midfield position. That's where I feel that he operates the best. But again, someone who can float in and around the pitch, someone who can drop deep to pick up the ball, and then, like an Endrick, go on those kind of runs with that ball control. He's definitely going to be a problem for most teams, that he's going to come up against. So whether teams can stop him, and I feel that it might go a long way to then stopping Mexico, let's wait and see. But he's definitely a player, I feel, especially being the youngest player at this tournament, eyes are going to be on him regardless. So let's see if he can kind of live up to the hype. Last but not least, Yan Diomande. Now, if you've watched my video on Yan Diomande, you've heard me speak about him. You've heard me speak about his style of play. You've heard me give my opinion on Diomande in regards to whether or not I believe he is a top player. Listen, he's had one good season. I was going to say brilliant, but I'll say good season at Leipzig. Do I think he needs to do more? Yes, 100%. But again, all of these players do, and every player kind of needs to, unless you're Messi and Ronaldo. But I just think that this tournament, if you guys remember, for Liverpool fans especially, if you remember Milan Baros, if you remember El Hadji Diouf, good tournaments, Liverpool ended up signing them. Now, I know that Liverpool have obviously had this interest prior to the World Cup, so not exactly the same. But I do think having a good World Cup is going to go a long way to a lot of people kind of confirming whatever it is that they thought about Yan Diomande. Whatever that was prior to the tournament, I feel like this tournament will confirm that. So if you're like me and you feel that he just needs to maybe experience a little bit more, if I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, he's got good actions. He's decent in 1v1 battles, very good at duels, can test them pretty well, decent dribbling ability, very, very physical. Someone who's got, good pace as well, so can get in behind if you need him to. Decision making, I feel still a little bit lacking, if I'm being totally honest with you. But again, I'm not expecting him to be any type of finished article. Tactical flexibility, he can play on the left, he can play on the right, of that kind of wing area. So again, the option to be able to do that can be very, very helpful, especially if you're someone who might not be getting too much joy from one of the fullbacks. You can then switch over to the other flank, and it's not necessarily going to, would I say, degrade your game or downplay your game in any such way. So I think he's going to be an interesting one more than anything. Again, he's only 19 years of age as well, so he's still young. But I just think he's going to be an interesting one to watch throughout this tournament. A lot of eyes are going to be on him. Is he worth the money? Should we sign him? Etc. Etc. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on Yan Diomande. But those are the 5 players that I've kind of taken a look at. As I mentioned, listen, there's so many players. You've got Vuskovic as well. You've got Elise. You've got obviously the typical Lamine Yamal, Kylian Mbappe's, the Doués as well. These are already, in my opinion, I'm looking at them as like established stars almost in terms of who they are in the game and everything like that. So I didn't want to focus too much on, players like that, the Jude Bellinghams, the Declan Rices, etc., etc. I want to take a look at other players who maybe are not so established at this moment in time. And I feel like this World Cup might actually just propel, their profile, so to speak. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting. Let me know in the comment section which other players you feel that are going to have good tournaments. Lamine Camara is also another one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people, and I'll catch you guys real soon.